and let's not start with an argument.
Yeah. How about contradiction?
I came here for abuse.
Yeah, well, I'm going to dish that out in plenty for you, Greg, today.
Good. It's about time the tables turn.
Yeah. Welcome back.
Thank you. It's good to be home.
You were on a trip, weren't you?
I was. It was a
And we're not
great,
talking about a psychedelic trip.
yeah.
Or are we?
Well, it had some elements, man. There were some points where the whole atmosphere was filled with paper confetti and flames shooting up and lights all over the place. And, you know, tens of thousands of people all like,
And did you know what they were saying in the song lyrics?
no, not really at all. And what's hella funny, it was this older woman behind me who was totally into Rammstein. And she was there with could have been her son. He was a fucking giant of a man. But he obviously knew nothing about Rammstein, and he's like, blah, blah, and she's like, yeah, that's great. Like, no one knows what they're saying, and they don't care. Ah!
So let's catch people up. Rammstein is a band that you went and saw in Los Angeles, right?
Rammstein, yeah, at the Memorial Coliseum. Saturday with my brother and his son Johnny. And it was,
I saw pictures. Their stage setup's pretty complicated.
well, it's one of the greatest stage setups I've seen, because they have this wall of lights that's curved around the stage, a half curve, and it's recessed away from the stage. And then you had all that metal structure of the stage. And it really gave this depth of field and the bank of lights that was in that recessed wall, that it was amazing.
And then, of course, lots of smoke, right?
Lots of smoke, lots of fire,
Lots of fire.
lots
And
of humor.
like when I've seen their videos, they're all acting as characters. Were they actually playing instruments, or were they kind of playing to electronic tracking?
No, they are playing the instruments and the electronic aspects. Like, their keyboardist is a badass and he plays a goon. That's kind of his character in the band. He's the one who's tortured and maimed throughout the show. But he also adds this element of orchestration that's beautiful. And what I love is the opening band was this duo from France, these two women who were on grand pianos. And there was a small stage out in the middle of the crowd, the floor crowd, that's where these two women performed. And it was brilliant. And it was very melodic, their first song. And there's this element. Now, there was a lot of energy, as they continued to play. But it was kind of like Rammstein was like, yeah, fuck you guys. This is our opening band, like it's not who I would expect to open for Rammstein.
So it starts with this lyrical, it kind of comes up. The energy starts nice and sweet and low and feminine, and it starts to come up, and they build it, right? Did the opening act get more and more intense?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They got intense, and they actually, it's possible that Rammstein became aware of them because their latest album they put out is covering Rammstein songs.
Ah.
And so maybe, but still they're on tour with Rammstein as the opening act. And check this out. Fucking Rammstein rolls credits at the end of the show of all the people involved in putting on the show. And so when they came out and did their stage bow, the whole band, you could hear these two grand pianos are still continuing the music behind. And I'm sure it was those two women. There was also a part in the show where Rammstein appeared on that middle stage, and the two women were on the grand pianos, and Rammstein was just doing vocals. Let's see, I think there's 5 of them total in the band. Let's see, there's bass, keyboard, drummer. No, 6 of them. So they were surrounding the
Pianos
and doing vocals out to the crowd. Yeah, but they rolled credits. And I was like, I have never, ever seen a band roll credits to give credit to everyone involved.
That's
That was
awesome.
badass. That's the kind of badass fucking guys they are.
So it's hard rock with intelligent twist, basically.
Absolutely. And humor. And some of it's very crass humor. You know, like there's this one song on their new album that's, you know, this lonely guy and the pathos of life. And if he could just have a loving partner and she could be anything at all and look anything, it doesn't have to be rich, but he wants big tits.
That reminds me of a Death Jester song.
Yeah. Mammary glands,
Yeah.
mammary glands. I want to get my hands on your mammary glands. Yeah.
Wow. So how did you find out about these guys?
I think, well, I've heard about them before because their fire show is kind of their pyrotechnics stories precede them. Like even in clubs, they were known for harrowing pyrotechnics. And my brother was like, you know, God, but hearing his story, it was like I went and saw them at the Oakland Coliseum with my brother a few years
Outdoor show,
ago.
right?
What?
Was it an outdoor show?
No, this was indoor.
Okay, but the one you just went to was outdoor.
Then yeah, exactly. But they don't hold back. It doesn't matter, indoor, outdoor, there's going to be a lot of fire. Um, and we were both like, holy fuck, like that was just incredible.
Amounts of fire.
Yeah, but part of it is just it's a fantastic show. Here's an example. Like I was thinking about this last show from Saturday. There were all sorts of people at the show. There were old people, young people, punk rockers, girls in country dresses, Hispanic, you know, people of all colors, all like just a plethora of humanity at this show. And afterwards, as we're all hanging out, like everyone was just in a great mood. And part of what I was thinking of is it's such a powerful masculine music. You know, it's a very bum, bum, bum. And yet it's not leaving an individual with an aggro sense. Everyone's in this very happy, together, bonded sense. Yeah. And I thought that's really a feat for artists to pull off.
I agree. I totally agree. And like a lot of the heavy metal, like Metallica, Joe Satriani, I mean, he's not heavy metal, but they're a sausage fest. You're in the audience and there's like 98% dudes, right?
Right. Right.
And you're saying that this wasn't the case with Rammstein.
No, it wasn't. That's a good point. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, it wasn't a sausage fest. And yeah.
But in a way it was because they're German. It was a sausage
Well,
and beer
yeah,
fest.
good point.
You know what I think? Based on what you're saying, is there's this element of fully embracing who they are as men, like their obvious predilection with memories and sausages and beers and who they are, but at the same time there's a sense of humor about it. They don't take themselves too seriously, that they can't
Right,
poke fun at the human condition.
right.
And the songs, like you said, leave you feeling ebullient.
Yes, that is true. And I think the humor part's a big part of it because they
Mhm.
really don't take themselves seriously. And and they're badass. They're
Yeah.
fucking badass.
And what do they like? What were their costumes like? What was the did they do a lot of
Well,
changes, or was it one thing? Or
no, so the singer, he usually puts like the silver white face paint on, and you know, he does these really grandiose, almost like you know, in Cabaret, the
uh-huh.
main guy, like that kind of showman, you know, big rolly eyes. When I saw them in Oakland, they were all leather and metal except for the keyboard player. But this time, one of the guitarists had this sort of feather, furry kind of coat on,
Mhm.
And here's another thing that was a lot of fun. Like this one song they did, and I think the song translates to "The Kiss" in English. I'm not 100% sure, but the two guitarists are dueling, like killer bone, and just like and they're right up on each other, and then they just end the solo, and they both leaned forward and kissed each other. Turned to the audience, and I was like, it's that kind of stuff that in all this machismo and stuff, and the keyboard player is in these glitter one piece jumpsuits that are silly as all get out. And
So he's kind of the fool archetype.
right, he's the fool. And like in one thing, he's in this huge metal pot, and the lead singer gets this huge blowtorch and is blowing fire into the pot and just engulfing him in fire. And then he does that a few times, and then he brings out an even bigger blowtorch that's like on wheels, like this huge machine. And he's on one side of the stage, and the flame goes all the way across the stage to this pot and just engulfs it. And then the piano player, like the whole band leaves the stage, and there's smoke, and you see the lid come off the pot, and the piano player like cripples his way out, and he's like all bent and fucked up. And he walks over to a keyboard, he sort of straightens his limbs, and then he just starts doing this badass riff. And
Yeah.
so it has this element, like we talked about Brer Rabbit, has this element of like, yeah, I'm all fucked up. Oh, and no, I'm not. Now I'm all fucked up. And there was another song, I don't know what the song was, and this giant metal baby carriage is brought out. You see this like demon baby in it, and then it just is all on fire and blows up. And
Wow. So it sounds like they don't make a lot of profit on this tour.
it's a good question. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I mean,
But the other thing,
they really put a lot of money on the table. The
yeah,
show
they
is
really do.
really fully
Yeah,
realized.
yeah, it
Yeah.
it absolutely is.
But you were at
And
Olympic Coliseum, right?
yeah.
And did it seem sold out?
Well, no, because of the way the stage is, about a quarter of the
Seating is,
seating behind, yeah, from that side back, no one's in there.
but it
You
was
wouldn't
still
be able,
probably 35, 40,000 people.
yeah, I would say yes.
Because I think that stadium seats 100.
Yeah, I think that's what I was wondering. So yeah, I think you're on point.
And what was
35 to
what
40.
was your ticket cost?
Well, I bought it a year ago, and it was $75 a ticket.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's a lot of value.
it was. Absolutely.
That's a
Yeah.
lot of value.
Yeah.
But still, if we just do the math, that's, 400 $100 times 45,000, that's $4.5 million for one show.
So they got some money, and the t-shirts are going for like $40 a t-shirt.
Right.
And they pretty much sold out. Like they had one shirt. You've seen that the video I sent you of Stein, of the time rolling back on itself. And remember,
Yes, yes, yes.
yeah, and remember the character Death, like with the farmer when his wife dies, and there's that. So they had a T-shirt with that death-like figure on the front, and it says Rammstein. And I wanted to get one of those, and those were sold out. They were pretty much out of product by the end of the night.
So it's $5.6 million at 45,000 people at $75 a head for one
All
show.
right, and some of the tickets were probably more expensive, so they're probably doing all right.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing though, like so LA was the last US
Date.
spot date, right? And then they were on to New Mexico, but they didn't come up here. Like their stadium
In New
tour,
Mexico, that's in the US.
I'm sorry, Mexico City.
Got it.
They are, I think they might have played 6 shows in the US, so yeah, that's the other piece to this whole tour.
Yeah, and they're not on the radio, and I didn't see any advertising. It's like Rammstein, people know who they are. It's like the Grateful Dead in a way, but it's
yeah,
the
in a way, you're right. Yeah, yeah, but I'd rather be at a Rammstein show.
Well, I think Jerry Garcia would have loved to have seen a Rammstein show.
He might have. And what's really beautiful too is besides this sort of techno metal thing that's going on, are these very classical melodic elements that come in,
Mhm.
and yeah, they're pretty badass.
Yeah. You had a good time.
I had a great time. Yeah, and part of what I loved is, I was waiting for my brother, so I took Metro from Santa Monica because I was hanging out in Santa Monica a couple of days, and, the Metro goes right to, the stadium, so I was there waiting for my brother. I went to get pad thai, and on the way back, there was your, stereotypical Jesus preachers who are at rock shows, and the guy, um, was telling out how all these sinners, he's all, if you fornicate, take drugs, if you're a partier, listen to rock and roll, you're burning in hell. And so I went up to him and, I said, so I heard you say if you're a partier, you go to hell. He goes, this man has come up to me and asked if you're a partier, do you go to hell? Yes, sir. If you're a partier. I said, well, what's a partier to you? He said, if you drink and imbibe to get tipsy. I said, well, wasn't Jesus at a wedding party and turned water to wine? When that was a party, right? He's all, well, back in those days, they didn't use hops in their wine. And I was like, oh, okay, we're done here. Like now you're just talking gibberish.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that
Some
got a good
people are
laugh.
fueled by their hell and brimstone anger.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was thinking of. I was like, wow, what a trip. Like,
Yeah. And he's probably like that because he got too much acid at some point.
maybe, or someone touched his pee-pee at too young an age.
That might be it.
Who knows?
That
Who
happened to
knows?
me.
Yeah, someone
Yeah.
touched your pee-pee at too young an age.
That's right. My
Sorry to hear
cello
that.
teacher.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah. It wasn't fun for him.
Damn, that's got dark.
Yeah. It was not fun for him.
Oh,
Yeah.
did that really happen?
Yep. I was on stage, and he was kind of, at the time I didn't know what flirty was. I was in the 5th grade, and I was playing cello, and there was like 4 of us, I think, and the stage had all this cool stuff in the back, right? Like there's all these curtains and ropes and ladders going up into the catwalk and stuff like that. And he was way too friendly with me. And then at one point, I climbed up one of the metal ladders in the back, and the way that he got me down was he put his hand between my legs and grabbed me by my penis and lifted me down and lingered a little too long. And I wasn't happy with that. And when I got home and I told my mom about it, she was like, "What?" And she went down to the school the next day, and the guy was gone in a week.
Wow.
So on one level, it was pretty minor in terms of, it's not like he's imprisoned me in the closet and pulled my pants down and said, "Don't tell anyone." But it was still definitely too much.
Right, right.
And he lost his job, which, you know, it was the 70s. He just got a little too forward. Anyway,
Well, it was definitely inappropriate.
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I quit the cello after that. Just think I could have been part of, I could have been a
You could have
master
been in
cello.
Rammstein.
They didn't have cello players, did they?
No, but they had those 2 grand piano women,
Right.
like you
I
never
could have
know.
done, I probably wouldn't have lasted on cello. Within another year, I was playing guitar and playing electric guitar. No, it was more like 2 years, 7th grade. Yeah.
Huh. But really, so you quit the cello from that experience, you think?
Yeah. I did not want to go back.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. That's
Oh, well, fortunately for me, the level of scarring compared to a lot of people who face that kind of abuse in their life and this PTSD that they have. And for me, it was relatively small impact ultimately, especially because my mom defended me right away, and the school, acted
yeah.
to, if he'd been left there, it might have been more traumatic in the long run.
Do you think that a conversation could have happened with the 4 of you, like a school representative, your mom, you, and this person, to clarify? Well, you said he was too friendly with you already before that
Well, he
happened.
did that with me. Who knows what else he'd done, right? I
Right,
wasn't the
but
only
that's
guy
what
in the
I'm wondering, like, what I hear you saying is it doesn't seem like it was an accidental thing.
Oh,
It
there
was
was no way it was accidental.
right, right.
No.
Hmm. Because ultimately, I would hope that individual would get help to heal that chaos they have in them. But that's
Yeah, well, who knows? Like, after that, I never heard from about him or what happened to him, or like, he might have slunk off somewhere else and gotten another job as a music teacher, or who knows? Like, I don't know
right.
the what I know is that I wasn't privy to the conversation. My mom is a fiery Italian woman, and she went down to that principal's office and she made him pay. That was all
Yeah,
that I know.
yeah.
Anyway, so
I'm not
um,
faulting anyone of what they did. I'm just saying, like, I have a hope that an element, in essence, like that, the opportunity to heal that poison was happened. Not, you know what I'm saying? Like that
well,
would be
just on
the
the crazy chance that this person happens to listen to this broadcast,
ah,
I want you to know that I forgive you. There was no long-term lasting damage, and I wish you no ill will, and I hope you didn't do it to anybody else.
yeah, all right. That sounds like a good, nice plant.
Yeah, let's leave it there.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the collapse of world economies.
Excellent segue, Greg. Why? Whatever makes you say that? Did Art put a gun to your head? Did he
He
threaten to touch
did.
your penis?
That fucking guy with his gun. If it's not his gun, it's mine.
Yeah. Well, weird stuff's been happening, like the British pound after the new person who new prime minister lowered taxes on the rich over there. The pound crashed, and here in America, inflation's running out of control, and the Federal
Wow.
Reserve is trying to raise interest rates. And
Yeah, I'm
man,
looking at the 6 month of the Dow. It's fallen 16%, over 16% in the past 6 months.
yeah, and the whole Russia-Ukraine war has changed the international monetary situation.
Hey, what are your thoughts on that?
What are my
Because
thoughts on it?
yeah, on the Russia Ukraine war that's happening right now.
Wow. I think it was opportunistic. I think that Putin decided that he had enough of a moral story that he could tell about encroachment by NATO and various other things that he could point to that he thought would give him the cover he needed to invade, and that what it's really about is amassing the resources and the autonomy and trying to reclaim bits and pieces of the Soviet Union, because I think he's ideologically that's where he wants to go. And he miscalculated. He thought that there was nothing that the world governments like the United States could do to counter that. And he's paying the price now, and so are the Russian people, because the Russian people are rebelling. He's up for re-election too, right? So what I think is it's a crime. It's a crime against humanity. Uh, he could he could still win, but the level of brutality that he's going to have to do is going to be incredibly high. Um, I think even China, which he was banking on being more cooperative because they are going to be the recipient of all that Russian oil and various things that, I think quietly behind the scenes, China was saying, yeah, we'll take the wheat from um, the Ukraine. Like, there's definitely some back channel stuff happening there, but I think even now there's some resistance because of the price that's being extracted, and people underestimated the hangover from COVID around things like supply chains, especially in China, where they're still having shutdowns and stuff like that. And so it's It's like a strong man tactic. Like he's such a macho dude that that's exactly the kind of thing you'd expect from him is to try to do a show of force. And it's backfiring on him. He would have been much better off to do a big PR campaign about the intrusion of NATO and how they weren't how he would have been better off ultimately, and the Russian people would have been better off if he hadn't done this, which is, and not to say anything, like the Ukrainian people would have been better off. So what do I think? I think um, probably what we're doing as the allies, as the NATO alliance, to make it difficult from him, it was under calculated by him, and I'm glad we aren't engaging him directly with our own forces. But we are throwing a lot of our military supplies over there, and it's sort of like at some point it could be a massive powder keg and just start to go off. He could start, if he does a massive counteroffensive and any U.S. assets get caught in the crossfire, it could start a really bad war. The U.S. or the U.K. and other European allies, particularly Germany, now that that oil pipeline's blown up and they're not going to have energy in the winter, that's going to be tough. Like one of the things that Putin's doing right now is he's biding his time because he knows that all of that resolve to not use his oil and not, allow economic activity. They were an important part of the economic engine of Central Europe there. And so I think ultimately some of those partnerships are going to start to weaken, which is a bad thing. So he invaded in February. He'll probably bide his time and then come back 5 times as strong again in February with another assault. And it's just bad for everybody. That's what I think. And there's this weird thing I saw. Apparently, some of the people that support the former president of the United States think that Russia's involved in dismantling what they call secret government or the shadow government or whatever, the deep state. That's what they call it. And so there's this weird thing where there's a kind of alliance with those people intellectually with Putin. And it's the result of propaganda, because the way I see it, my opinion is that Putin bankrolled Trump back in the early part of the century because Trump's empire was crumbling and the Russian mob was a big part of the New York City area. And so one of the things I've seen in some books that I've read about Trump are that in order to prop up Trump's failing real estate ventures, he took money from Russian banks. And in order to do that, he had to make deals with Russian mobsters and with Putin's cronies. And as a result, he owed them favors. And they saw an opportunity to get him elected and have a power broker in the White House that would undermine the U.S. and Russia's favor. And so I think there's a Russia Putin / Trump connection. That's how I feel based on what I've read. And I think that when we finally find out what the top secret documents that were stolen or reveal, is that he probably fed information to the Russian intelligence agencies and as part of that deal. And when that might not come to light, even though it's a fact, even though I think it's a fact,
Yeah.
qualify that.
That was beautiful.
Yeah, I caught myself
The
there.
truth may not come to
It might
light.
not come to light. It might not even be true. Let's just correct that. It might not be true. And then if it is true, it might not come to light because the admission of it and what that would mean about our compromised status in the world is something we wouldn't want out there. And I find it troubling. It's more fuel for the fire that it's possible that elements of the American society are supporting Putin, and that Trump and Putin have this weird kind of nexus of American alliances. And I would hate for that to continue on the road to kind of a United States Civil War conflict type thing, because that's exactly what Russia would want to do, is create and sow dissension among us that would weaken the United States. And this is my final point. there's a real thing that's happened in the last 5 years with the NATO alliance and the Western powers pushing on Russia and trying to weaken Russia and getting closer and closer to undermining them. And that kind of economic takeover is really typical of what I'll call the international banking community, like the old money. They do this sort of thing where they undermine and they undermine and they strip away power, and then they cause conflicts and they bankroll both sides, right? And so that they can reap the harvest of the assets when everything's broken down. They can buy up land cheap. They can give loans to countries that are broken down when they need it, and then they end up owing them and charging. Like, there's a whole wicked behind the scenes thing. So I think the reality of the pressure on Putin was real, and that it was nefarious, that there were some really bad shit that he was being subjected to and the Russian people were under pressure from. But I don't think invading Ukraine was the proper response. It wasn't he would been much better off exposing that. So we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out.
Do you think
so far I haven't been wrong about the JFK assassination? I haven't been right either.
However, you are off the mark with Sasquatch, okay, in the Loch Ness Monster.
Well, I don't particularly believe in the Loch Ness Monster.
Exactly. Yeah, like I said, you're off.
But I do believe in Sasquatch.
I believe in Sasquatch.
In fact, my uncle made a
Won't you let it roll?
full feature mockumentary about Sasquatch.
Really?
My dad plays Dr. Lipschitz, the scatologist in that film, and has his big scene is he's dissecting a big Bigfoot poop and talking about why it means it's a Bigfoot.
Was that mockumentary the one where Bigfoot, it was like a horror film?
No, it was a film before. It was the very first Sasquatch mockumentary ever. It was called Sasquatch Amongst Us, and it's never been distributed. It's sitting in a can in my uncle's house in Montana. I'd love to get that re-released at some point, but it's difficult. It requires money to get it digitized and all of that. But
did anyone see it?
It was out there for a while. They would played at film festivals in the 70s. I saw it. I saw it once on the big screen at the Presidio Theater in San Francisco, and then I saw it on the small screen in my uncle's living room.
Is your uncle's last name Went?
Yes, sir.
Doug Went.
Sasquatch Amongst Us.
1973. 48 minutes on 16 millimeter.
I guess it's not feature length then, but it's close.
48 minutes is considered.
It's a 1 hour TV show. You could sell commercials on something like that.
Stayed Poot. Time Offed.
Yeah, he won an award for Time Offed.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
It also was on Saturday Night Live.
Timed Off?
Yeah, Time Offed.
Oh. 13 minutes? They played the whole thing?
Oh, no, wait. That's wrong. Time Offed is a different one.
Up and Atom?
Up and Atom. That was the one. Time Offed is really cool. It's got optical effects in it that are awesome. All his films are great. I mean, he got his master's from the San Francisco Art Institute, and he's really a visually amazing visual artist. Doug Went. And his there's a special showing at Canyon Cinemas of his film, and you just mentioned the name of it and I've already forgotten it. Damn it.
Up and Atom.
Up and Atom has been digitized, and a new 16 millimeter print has been struck, and it's part of a festival that's coming up on October 16th in San Francisco.
Well, on this website I'm looking at, it says all his films are available through the Canyon.
Yeah, you can rent them at Canyon Cinema if you want. Yeah, but they're not digital. You have to go rent the actual print.
Oh, you have to rent the 16 millimeter.
Yeah, it'd be fun to just go rent them all and screen them.
Yeah. Do they have a place you can watch them?
I think so. There? I'm not sure how much it would cost. Let's go do it. Let's set it up. We'll do a Doug Went Film Festival.
Yeah.
Yes, Sasquatch Amongst Us, Time Off is awesome. It's yeah. There's a character who wears an ace bandage around his face, very very invisible manish. But
What about Ron Amok Dog
Run
Party?
Amok, Dog
Ron
Party.
Amok.
Yeah,
Oh
that's
wow, it's fucking $25 to rent it. Holy
yeah,
shit.
yeah. Be fun to do. I love this film rabbit hole we've gone down.
Yeah, I didn't realize that film was so prominent in your family.
Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons that I'm so interested in it is because when I was a young man and a young kid, we would go over to my uncle's house, and he was a student filmmaker, and then he became um, a film festival host. Every weekend on Saturday he would show we ran a show called the Midnight Movies, and he would bring in independent films every week for
Wow.
several years and show them and to hippies and crazy, wild.
God, he likes that midnight hour, doesn't he?
Yeah. And I remember one year we went, and my dad took me, and when it's all over and all the tickets have been counted and the box office has been put away and the films are packed up and put in his VW bug, at that point it's 3 a.m. And like a block down the street from the Presidio Theater was a donut shop. And at 3 a.m.,
They
the
would
guy's
open.
already cooked a bunch of donuts, and they're fresh, like so fresh. They're literally right out of the deep fryer, and the sugar is still dripping. And my dad and my uncle were smoking weed, and so we went there, and oh my god, like I was ruined. Donuts, that's the only way to eat a donut as far as I'm concerned. Everything tastes stale. Even fresh donuts at like 6 a.m. are not, they're not
Not like
good.
that 3 a.m.
Oh my god, warm. They're still warm and soft. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm getting chills thinking about it.
Have you ever had a Johnny donut?
A Johnny donut from
Yeah.
San
Johnny.
Rafael?
Yeah.
No, I thought about it though.
Yeah, they're fucking great.
I don't use my car very much.
I don't get around much anymore.
Yeah.
There's this place that's near where Ari and Tomas live, where this woman makes gluten-free vegan croissants and buns. She's
Wow.
only open on Friday and Saturday morning for a few hours, and then she does the Sunday farmers market at the Civic Center, and they're
And she
delicious.
sells her stuff there too.
Yeah. It's like about $6.50 for, one of her wares. It's about this big, but they're delicious.
About as big as a CD, a little bigger maybe.
Yeah, and they're thick, got so yeah, they're super good.
Well,
She's
that's
got
good to know. Maybe I'll take Kathy on an adventure. Do you know where it is in Terra Linda?
Yeah, that strip mall. So when you pass
Northgate 1.
What?
Northgate 1.
No, but you go past that.
Yeah.
And on the right side is like a market.
Yeah, Scotty's Market.
Yeah, and a few, like it's in that area. That's her shop.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's right near where Kathy does her ceramics.
Oh, really?
She must know about it.
She might not, though. It's called Biscuits and Buns.
And it's all gluten-free, huh?
Gluten-free, vegan, yeah. And she's just announced she has a pumpkin ginger cardamom bun.
Oh my god, I'm going there tomorrow.
Yeah, man. It's
I
good
might
stuff.
What time do they open?
She opens at 7:30 tomorrow morning, closes at 11:30.
Biscuits and Buns, downtown Terra Linda.
Yeah.
For those of you listening to this now, you've got the tip. But for those of you hearing it on Monday, too bad. So sad.
Too bad. Sorry for you.
See you next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just put the
You're gonna publish the address?
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, 641 Del Ganado Road, San Rafael.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Biscuits and Buns. Yeah. Yeah, well, nothing can soothe the woes of a post-capitalist hangover in the 21st century as 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 gluten-free pastry and sugar.
Yep. Yum. And a
Yeah,
movie.
and a movie.
Cup
Right.
of great coffee, a biscuit or a bun, a movie,
Decaf
a couch,
Americano right here.
your loved one cuddled up watching a Rob Zombie movie.
Yep, with her boobies smashed up against your arm.
It's beautiful.
Yep.
It's the good life.
And then a plunge in the pool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is the water warm enough? Yes, Lisa.
Must be something in the water you drink. It's been the same with every girl I had. Must be something in the water you drink. Why else would a woman want to treat a man so bad?
Yeah, so Greg, your drumming was really inspiring to me.
That's very kind.
And hearing you sing again reminds me that this whole story you've told about the years about wanting to be a musician, I think you actually have some untapped juice there, and it's my hope that at some point we get together and get in the studio and make some shit happen.
I'd love that.
Yeah, I still have a lyrics file that has your lyrics in it.
Which
That,
one?
Let's get wet or something like that.
Ah, I forgot about that one. My
Yeah,
funk tune.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we should definitely try that.
There is oh, have you watched any of the Taylor Hawkins tribute videos from LA?
You know, I actually have avoided them because they're on iPhone, and I know they shot it high def and high quality, and they didn't release it. I was really bummed. I thought Paramount Plus was for sure going to show this one too because they showed Wembley, but apparently it all got filmed. But no, they're being real super cagey about what's happening with that. Maybe they didn't clear all the rights to everyone. Like maybe there was a thing where they were like, well, everybody but so and so and so and so and so and so is cleared, so we can't show the whole thing, right? And maybe it was Motley Crue or maybe it was Pink. We don't have no idea who they didn't sign because there was lots of last minute additions,
Right.
and so I assume they're just trying to work that all out, and then they'll put it up as like a pay-per-view or something else like that. But from what I hear, it was even better than Wembley.
Well, it's pretty badass, the pirated stuff that's on YouTube.
I
And
know, but
one
I'm
of the
just such a nut. I don't like shitty sound or
the sound is shitty,
yeah.
absolutely. But one of the cool things is Chris Novosek. Is that how you say
Yeah,
his name?
Chris Novoselic.
Novosek. He comes out, and the one that I saw, the bass was real prominent in
Okay.
the sound, and it sounded fucking great. It was really cool to like
So
hear.
does Grohl play drums with him?
No, Grohl was on guitar.
And do they do a
Um,
Nirvana song?
They did, yeah. No,
Awesome.
no, they did a Soundgarden song.
A
So,
Soundgarden song.
yeah, the 2 guitarists from Soundgarden were on there.
Ah, and Chris played drums or Chris
And
played bass.
bass, right, right, and they did
Now,
a
was he in the Hair of the Dog or whatever the band was that they
no,
did?
no, he
Okay, no.
wasn't.
What
No,
was
no,
the name
no.
of that band?
Yeah, Hair of the Dog.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
It's something else.
No, I'm pretty sure it's Hair of the Dog. Let me see.
Yeah,
And
I'm
wait,
going hungry.
yeah,
Right?
Hunger
That's
Strike.
Hunger Strike.
That's one of the greatest songs ever created. Temple of the Dog.
Temple of the Dog, right. And then I guess also the lead singer of Pearl Jam did a slot too. Eddie Vedder did a slot.
Did he? I didn't see that. But Pink played with Nancy Wilson.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, I can't resist this.
All right. So you did watch some, you
But then I watched one and I'm like, I can't do it. I want to see it the first time, the best time.
Pink.
I'm gonna wait.
So bad.
She's amazing. She's a
She
great
is
singer.
amazing.
Because that
man.
song is not easy to sing.
No, like it's pretty, like Anne nails it. And Anne's a badass vocalist, you know, and Pink held it. Like, and also it was super badass to see Wolfgang Van Halen.
Oh, he played again too?
Yeah, and they did Panama, And
Oh, that's hilarious because he joked after Wembley that I'm not gonna you don't count on me playing Panama to the Van Halen fans because they're all trying to get him to do a Van Halen reunion. He's like, nope, not gonna happen. And so it was like a fuck you to the fans
that
of
is funny.
to
He's
play
a funny
Panama.
guy and he's fucking talented. I've heard people talking shit about him because they say like he's just playing note for note what Eddie did. Like, well, let's
Well,
see
they
you play.
obviously haven't listened to his actual solo album.
Well, exactly. And let's see you play Eddie note for note, you little fucker.
Right. There's lots of people that can do that.
Well, he's got the feeling though. That's the thing.
Well, that's what I mean. See, Wolfgang Van Halen has come up in the shadow of one of the great guitar players of the 20th
Yeah,
century.
greatest. Like, yeah, one of the fucking
Okay.
Mount Rushmores.
Yeah, for sure. And then established himself on his own without
Yeah,
having to play his dad's material
right.
and done so in a way that's like worthy.
And you know what I heard this last album that came out? It's like Prince. He played the bass, the keyboard, the drums, the like. So he's a fucking musician.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, and I'm really proud of him. I think that's brilliant that he's done that. And what's really weird for me is the absence of Alex Van Halen. Like if there was ever a time it would have been Alex should have come out and done that show with him. Like why didn't that happen? Maybe Alex and Wolfgang have some beef, or maybe Alex is just not a drummer anymore. Maybe he just let it all go. I mean, what's going on, Alex Van Halen? If you're out there, give me a call. My number is available online. Come on, man.
Well, I don't know if this is really from things I've heard or if I'm making this up, but I heard, a lot of the chaos of singers and the Van Halen brothers was from Alex's surliness. That it wasn't
Alex is a
so
surly Van Halen.
Yeah, it wasn't so much Eddie that was creating trouble, it was Alex.
No one wants to invite him to the party, apparently.
Well, he might not want to go. He just might be like, you know what? And it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, he and his brother seemed so tight. It wouldn't surprise me if Eddie's passing really was like, that's it.
Yeah.
I don't
I'm not
need
going to
any
do it.
money. I don't need to. He's a
And
fucking great drummer.
I know that's why it's so trippy that we can't hear him anymore.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
I think that's what people are trying to get Wolfgang to do is get Alex out of retirement, bring back what's the bass player's name?
Michael.
Michael Anthony and Wolfgang and have them do it.
Who would be the vocalist?
Wolfgang. Right? Or just bring
I don't know. I think it'd be bad.
If I were Sammy Hagar, I'd be dangling tens of millions of dollars in front of
no Sammy. No Sammy.
Yeah, you're not a
I
Van
love
Hagar
Sammy
fan.
on his own, but I'm not a Van Hagar fan.
Yeah.
No. And David just doesn't have it anymore.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
Have you listened to any of the stuff David's released like in the past couple of weeks? Like he's gone back into the studio and recorded like Panama, and he's a fucking
He re-recorded it?
Yeah, he's a nut. I don't know.
He is a nut. That I've seen. I loved that first David Lee Roth solo album with Steve Vai. I thought,
that was
Just
brilliant.
a Gigolo. That was hilarious. What a great video.
Yeah.
He still had that frontman showman kind of like panache and let's be honest, it's frat boy humor. But he's right on the cusp of being one of the great frontmen, but he's kind of become too much of a joke on some level. But when you listen to those first couple Van Halen records, he's actually really pulling off some amazing shit. Those wails and chirps and and those, the flying.
And I've seen some live, pirated video where he's doing it. He's got some chops. He was a fucking god when, those first 5 albums. Let's see, there's 1, 2, Diver Down, Mean Streets, and 1984. Yeah, those first 5 albums were fucking Amazing.
Yeah, but syphilis, gonorrhea, and cocaine addiction have probably taken their toll on Dave.
I don't know. Well, here's the thing. He's like Ted Nugent, where
Oh, is he politically like kind
no,
of?
no, no. What I mean by that is I admire them both. I think they're both batshit crazy, but there's an element of adherence to their truth that I admire. Like I admire the fact that in the midst of him being a fucking rock star, he goes and becomes an EMT in New York City, you know?
Well,
And he
yeah.
really
Apparently, he needed the money.
no, that's not why he did it.
Oh,
He did
see,
it
I
'cause
thought he was broke and he was looking for work.
no, he fucking did it because let me see what this is about. He went like when Van Halen was touring, he liked to go off on these chaotic jaunts. And at one point, he just went and got lost in the Amazon down in South America. And, he was like, they came close to dying. And that's what
Wow,
he liked to do. And he studied, like, he moved to Japan to learn the art of the samurai and also picked up um,
art of calligraphy.
yeah, but it's the painting, the single hair painting style.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
There's a
yeah.
particular style, I forget what it's called. So again, his commitment to
He goes all in
he
on
goes
whatever
all
he's
in.
doing.
Right.
So at some point, he's like, "I want to make a difference in the people for the people of New York and save lives." And so he
Yeah,
went and studied and became an EMT and served in the ambulance brigade.
right, right. Really did it for a year.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's more than I want to do.
And then also hearing how when he took over Howard Stern at the radio station when Howard went to satellite and David Lee Roth took over
Oh, he
the
took his
DJ.
broadcast, his terrestrial broadcast show. I never
Yeah,
heard that.
they gave that to David. And from what I've heard, like the people in charge were trying to force him into being like a Howard Stern clone. And he's like, that's not who I am. I'm David, let me be just David. And
Yeah, like to give the audience a chance to like me.
right, right,
If they want Howard Stern, guess what, guys? They're going over to that other's place.
right, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. I just heard God damn it. What was it?
Oh, damn it. Call a plumber.
Oh, oh no. Um
You're not
oh,
having a stroke,
it
are you?
was David Blaine. All right,
Oh,
so
yeah.
David
I'm
Blaine was on Hot Ones. And I love watching Hot Ones. You familiar with that?
no.
So on YouTube, there's a series called Hot Ones,
Oh,
and
wait,
they
that's the
go
interview show with the hot sauce.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Got it.
exactly. It's brilliant. So the new season just started, and David Blaine's the first guest, and he was talking about his very first TV special, like because he was asked, "What's one of your favorite reactions to the tricks he did?" And he did this trick where he made a quarter disappear from his hand, and the kid was just silent and like, I went, "Cool." And David loved it because he said that's was so personal to him. That's how he was with magic, like just taking it all in and just sitting with it, like, okay, what just happened? And that's what you're witnessing. But the people in charge, the producers and stuff, were like, no, man, you
That's
can't
not
put that
entertaining.
in. Right,
Yeah.
exactly. And he fought so hard to get that scene in, and it stayed in. And that's been the scene that everyone talks about, so it again reminds me how we got to fight for what we know in our gut is right and fuck everybody else. Do it. Because so often the energy.
That was a powerful statement, my friend. It's true because so many people are sitting in the executive suite, overthinking it, looking at the demographics and looking at all the polling and all of that stuff. When the really killer stuff is that full on, devoted, heart centered stuff, which is why Rammstein is nobody you've ever heard of except for this show, before this show, except if you're a Rammstein fan already, right? But and they're amazing.
They
It's
are
because they
amazing.
go out and they're not listening to any of that stuff. They're not beholden to anyone but their own vision. And that's what made all the greats great, right? Prince, Van Halen, Jimi Hendrix, Nat King Cole, Frank Sinatra, your
Yeah.
mama,
Yeah. Yo mama. And I think,
my mama.
and
Asked my mom
Art
once. I'm
Art
like, "Mm,
says that in the last 6 minutes, we have to talk about the Masonic order. I don't know what the fuck that means.
well, you're a Mason, aren't you? You know what